The hour of 7:32, sorry, that was louder than I thought. Everybody awake. I'm filling in for John Dimmitt. So the hour of 7:32 is upon us, and it's time to call to order this Tuesday, August 6th study session of the Board of Education meeting. Roll call, please, Ruth Ann.
Member Carter.
Here.
Member Exum.
Here.
Member Patton.
Here.
Member Pulaski.
Here.
Member Fisher is here, and Vice President Hall.
Here. Do we have any additions, corrections, or modifications to tonight's agenda?
None.
Seeing none, okay, we will continue and move on to citizen statements. We do have a couple of citizen statements, so I will say your name and then you can come and sit up in front. Make sure you press the button on your microphone so that the light turns green. Do the second. Okay. First up, we have Christy Lee. Come on up.
Hi, most of you know me, but my name is Christy Lee. I'm a longtime Urbana parent. I have had two of my children have graduated from Urbana, and I currently have two students still in the district, one at the high school and one at Wiley. I'm here to talk to you tonight about my desire for the district to have more inclusive practices for all students. My passion is students with disabilities, and I'm excited to see some of the rough waters behind us in Urbana, and I'm excited and hopeful that Urbana will transition to a more inclusive school district for all students involved. A district where students, even those with significant needs, are students first, that they are a third grade student at their home school and not a special ed student. They are a ninth grader at the high school and not a life skills kid. A district where bridges are built to connect the islands within buildings to the larger school community so that those students and staff feel like they are a part of the larger environment that is their school. A district where resource classrooms become a resource for all students, not just the place where the slow kids go for help, a resource for all students. A district where students aren't limited to or isolated within a specific program because of their needs, that they have choices of all of the wonderful things that Urbana has to offer to all of their students, and they're not isolated within a specific program. And one thing I'm very happy to talk about, I just finalized a contract today. Many of you heard me talk about Paula Kluth, who is one of my favorite speakers on inclusion, and the Champaign County Down Syndrome Network is bringing her to Champaign.
Oh, great.
I have finalized the contract with Paula. I have finalized the contract with the venue. So now I'm nailing down details, and my ask of you is, while I don't have details of registration, we are going to keep the registration costs as minimal, for sure under $100 per participant. My ask is that you be generous with making funds available for staff to attend, not just special ed staff. She's a wonderful speaker and gives a lot of practical, low-cost ways to make classrooms more inclusive for everybody. So I would love to see special ed teachers, gen ed teachers, administrators. I'd love to see if any of you are interested in attending. The date is Wednesday, April 22nd. I finalize the registration details, I will make that available to you, but my ask is that you make funding available for many of Urbana's staff to attend, and that also includes funding for subs to be available so that the staff can attend. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have Girl Scout Troop 2207, is that correct?
Yep.
Coming here to give a presentation for violins.
Here, let's go.
Okay. Hi, my name is, let me back up. Hi, my name is Kyla from Girl Scout Troop 2207, where I am the president of this Girl Scout troop. These are the other three girls from our Girl Scout troop, Kiara, Amari, and Savannah. And today we're going to present our Silver Projects Award from the past year. But first, Kiera will explain what the Silvers Project is.
Well, my name is Kiera. Have you ever looked around your neighborhood or school and wondered how you can make a change for the better? The Girl Scout Silvers Award, the highest award Girl Scout cadet in 6th through 8th grade can earn, gives you the chance to do big things and make your community better in the process. Our troop identified a problem right in our schools, brought awareness, and then raised money to help. Amari will talk about the project.
Hi, I'm Amari. So when I was in 5th grade, I went to King Elementary School, and I decided I wanted to try something new. So I started playing the violin, which I later realized was not for me. That's okay. So after I stopped playing the violin in 5th grade, the next year I would always see my old teacher around the school, and he would be like, "Do you still have your violin? We need it. There's kids who need violins." And he asked several times. So that's really how we decided what we wanted to do for our silver project. So we decided to raise money by babysitting. We asked our peers and other people for donations, and we got a lot of donations. And we also did another project where we adopted a soldier, and we sent her things like stuff that she couldn't get where she was at. And she also donated a lot of money to get violins. So we bought violins for the school district.
How many, Amari?
I was waiting to see if our last person.
And you need to call Ms. Gingold up.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna, is Savannah, want to say?
She's nervous.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
she had a
I was
part, but
kinda
she's very
waiting.
nervous.
Okay, all right. So, Ms. Gingo, you want to come up and say something and receive your donation?
Oh, I get to be in the mic.
Yay.
I am so thrilled. I've been here almost 18 years. I know almost all of you. I've taught some of these people. The need for instruments in the orchestra program, the demands is higher and higher every year. And some of the instruments that we have are horrible. I mean, just horrible. And for these girls to identify a huge problem, especially in the orchestra, in my thing where it's always just me, I am so happy. I just want to take them home and shower them with ice cream or something. Like, I mean, you guys, this means so much because not only did they get one, they got 12.
I
They
was
got
just going to say,
12
how many?
violins.
Wow.
12. And yeah. So, I mean, that gives 12 more students the opportunity to play and learn music. And even if it's not for them, you should get back into it. I'm a better teacher than who you had. So, well, the person's not here. I can say that. So, but I mean, I'm just, honestly, I'm so thankful that you guys did this. 12 more students. 12 more students. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tori.
All right, girls, so where are the violins? I saw you bring them all in. So, Cameron, you want to wave your hands? This is Mr. Williams. We have to get a picture with you with all of the violins. Is that okay? Yeah. All right, we'd love for you to kind of come up. Why don't you guys come up and we can shake your hands? I'd love to do that. Yay. So, well, Kyla, come around this way, and then we're going to kind of just thank you out the front, around the front. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great
Thanks,
job.
thanks, Mari.
My goodness.
All right, one more hand for 207.
Thank you.
All right, they're going to go out for their photo op.
Okay. Thank you. I don't believe there's a call for any executive session after tonight's meeting, so we need an approval of tonight's agenda, please. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. Oh,
we didn't-
Kanita.
sorry.
Sorry about that. Kanita, you can go ahead and take a seat. Try to set the palm.
Hi.
Hello.
Well, my name is Kanita Faye, and I am a parent of a sophomore at the high school. I would like to start by thanking all the board members, administration, and staff. You guys have done such a wonderful job, and we really appreciate it. Urbana is a diverse town with diverse voices, and it's totally not an easy job to hear every voice, but you should have tried. You have shown us that you try to hear everything we have said, and for that we're totally grateful. For example, like November of last year, I came and expressed my concern about our district PR. And just last week, I had opportunity to discuss with Mr. Williams, and he listened carefully, he took action, and before I knew it, he posted our hometown proud Tiger Marching Band on the website, which, like, by the way, we have grown from 90 students of last year to 114.
Wow.
Excellent news. The only thing is that we need more money. So we in the middle of raising the money to buy uniforms. So if any of you interested, I can have students send you links. So you can forward to people that can help us. Only $10 a month. You too can make a difference. I also would like to thank Dr. Jennifer Iverton. I am grateful that you accepted this position. I know how thorough the team was because I tried to attend every single function I could, and it's very, very detail-oriented. I got phone call and all that. So we thank you. I know many parents feel the same. They just couldn't make it here tonight.
Thank you.
I am here to bring to your attention, because I know today you guys are gonna study so hard about, our future students, and just the beginning, I guess I can talk more about this with our new principal at the high school, and Mr. Carlson, who I'm gonna meet on Thursday. I would like to ask for the board to please put everything you have and give the support for the next couple of years to our high schoolers, because they are running out of time. If we take a snapshot today and look at our students from K to 12, our high schoolers are the one that the most vulnerable just because of the time constraint. They have gone through so much. From what I was told, and I wish that they would be here and tell you guys the story by themselves, but until they feel comfortable, I would like to convey that to you. They shared that last year at the high school, although staff and teachers work very, very, very hard, many students are struggling and failing. They're starting to lose confidence in school and themselves. They talk among themselves, how they Snapchat all day. And they're starting to worry that they're not going to get into reputable college. They can definitely use clear direction and assurance that they will be okay. Somehow, if we could start the year like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do this year. This is over the course of 4 years. We all going to make it. Your friend too going to make it. You too can help your friend make it. So we can talk in details, but I would like to bring it to your attention, especially with unfortunate incident with Spanish classes last year. Students students did not have opportunity to learn in both classes. And they were promised by their principal many remedies. Unfortunately, none of those was implemented. So now they're stuck not being sufficient for Spanish free. Some of them say, including my own daughter, that I will be forced to learn French. I want to know Spanish because I want to be able to speak to, Spanish speaking students, but I don't stand a chance. If we stop and think about it, let this sink in for a moment. We in Urbana, we are very proud of our dual language program. And I totally supportive of early childhood, and I think this is very important. Growing up, I learned Thai and English at the same time, so this is crucial. So we are here for younger kids. Our high school cannot read and write and speak in Spanish after they pass Spanish 1 and 2. If we look at this, we clearly can see the problem. And I'm sure that we can fix it. We just have to acknowledge it. I hope that I can learn a lot more on Thursday, what we can do about this. And lastly, they said that last year, due to the lockdown, we lost time in school. As a result, teachers stressed out and had to cram everything. They did not learn appropriately. So there's a lot more to talk about that, but I believe that this is their time. They did not have opportunity to go through dual language program like the younger kids. And they've gone through gun violence, they've gone through trauma, they've gone through 3 principles if you're junior in high school right now. That's what kids talked about on Snapchat. I was just lucky that they share with me, and just like I said, I wish that one day they would come to you and tell you by themselves. But until then, I hope that we will throw everything we got to bring them up to par. We owe it to them. We cannot let them down. They only have 3 or 4 years left. And I would be in touch. You guys, please reach out to me via email. I myself and many parents commit to support our school. We appreciate everything, you guys. We truly do. We just don't get to tell you enough. So thank you.
Thank you, Kanita. Okay. Before I move on, is there anybody else who wants to make a citizen statement? Didn't want to cut anybody else off. Okay, thank you. All right, so we were approving the agenda. Did we get a motion for that? Moved, and do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. No, the motion is carried. We have 2 administrative reports tonight. The first one, 7.1 on the agenda, is the Board of Education Committee discussion, and I will hand that over to Superintendent Ivory Tatum. If you want to take
Okay.
over.
So at your seats, you have, and people in the audience, you have copies as well. So at your seats, you have our board committees, our standing committees, and our 1920 special committees, as well as our ad hoc as needed committees. So I'm just going to walk through these just very quickly for the listening audience and the people in the audience. We do have a couple of the committees that we need additional representation on, so we'll just kind of go through those. Contract negotiations we are okay with. So our standing board committees, Parent Advisory Committee, this is the committee that we've had a lot of discussion, well, not myself, but there has been a lot of discussion around the District Parent Advisory Committee. So this is the group that we will convene them as soon as we get this approved tonight. I have a couple representatives from the group the Parent Advisory Group, who have already reached out. Scott Dowds, I believe, Ronnie Turner Winston, and Robin. Yes. So we have some, they are kind of the leaders of that parent advisory group, but they've already said they'd like to be part of this. We'll reach out to other parents who might be interested as well. Our first topic will be discipline, which has kind of already been outlined for us. We'll spend some time at the very beginning of the year talking about that. We'll include some administrators from the schools as well. The Behavior Interventions Committee, it's my understanding that committee has kind of morphed into the Parent Advisory Committee and shall perform the same duties assigned to the Parent Advisory Committee. So I'm kind of treating those as one, if that is okay with the board. Right now, our representatives are Tori, Brenda, and Ruth Ann will be our alternate. Okay? And that will satisfy Board Policy 2150. So on to our special committees for the year. So I know we've already had one campus land use presentation, and then Carol is kind of taken the lead on our property acquisitions committee. So our board representatives for that are Paul and John. Okay, so we'll pull those together as needed this year. I don't know, we'll have to get together with John to talk more about the campus land use piece, where we're going to go with that, but okay. Carol and I have had a lot of discussions about the school wellness committee. We do have a new food service. We don't have earmarks, so we have Arbor Management now, so we really want to engage them in our wellness efforts. That group is not met for a little while, so we're going to pull them together this year. Our representatives for that are Brenda and Ann. Carol plans to pull the group together quarterly. We'll include administrators. I used to represent on that group as an elementary principal. We've had parents. We'll invite our new food service director, Jonathan. What's his last name, Carol? I can't remember. Schmidt. Jonathan will be there, and of course, Brenda and Ann. Moving on, Strategic Planning Committee. So this won't get started right away, so that is why you don't have the dates there. We want to give ourselves a little time to get the year going and kind of get into some of our culture and climate initiatives, as well as some of our academic initiatives that we want to get off the ground, but we will be pulling that team together. I don't have any representatives for that. Now remember, last year we did strategic planning. We had board reps who were part of the small group team. And then once we've kind of developed the plan, we'll bring it here. We'll talk about it in open session. And then, of course, we'll have some action teams. And that's where we can get full participation from the board on those special, like, action groups that get going once we have developed our mission and vision and all those things. But we do need a couple of people to participate in that small group. We'll engage community folks. Of course, we'll have families, students, parents, admin, so I kind of need a couple volunteers for that.
I could do it.
Okay.
And you said it means how often?
Well,
We don't know yet?
Once we get started, last year our process was we did 3 days, like 3 full days, so we haven't really decided what that would look like, but yes. I'm thinking we'll do a couple of full days. There'll be a lot of after-school meetings. It'll be a long process.
And I'm happy to be the second person on that, too.
Thank you, Peggy. So Ann and Peggy. And again, we'll have discussions and, as we develop things, we'll bring them here and we'll talk about them. We'll engage our community around those efforts.
Okay.
Another group that we need to revitalize is our district crisis team. That group has not met regularly in quite some time. This group will meet 6 times a year. I've already had some conversations with Urbana Police, who they're very excited to get back in with this committee and start talking about code reds, intruder, just our basic drill procedures and practices. One thing that one of the officers said is, we've not had conversations about reunification at all. So they're really ready to get started. That was a group that I led in my former role, so Kim and I will kind of support that group. Randy is in the audience. He'll of course, be involved as we talk about facilities and safety and those initiatives. So right now I have Ruth Ann, but if we have another person, okay. Anybody else? Tori said she'll do it if nobody else wants to. Okay.
Thank you, Tori.
This one we will probably get started pretty quickly, Tori and Ruth Ann, just because I've already been approached. Not that I feel like our buildings are unsafe. We've just not had the conversations in quite some time, so we just need to pick those up quickly. District Technology Committee, we have Paul and Tori. Our Director of Instructional Technology, MC Neal, will lead that. That group will also meet 6 times a year. One of the things that MC and I have talked about is looking at our former tech plan, kind of reviewing that, and then talking about what we're going to do moving forward and coming up with a 2 to 3 year timeline around. Yeah. So I know we have Paul and Tori there. Marketing. So we have an amazing new marketing and a PR communications director. So Cameron is going to lead that group, and I'll just support him as needed. And this is a new one. So I know we had Ann down for that. Is there somebody else who'd like to join that? This group will meet quarterly, so at least 4 times a year. And you can read kind of the update. Cameron will also be asking parents, 2 parents from each building to be involved. So he can, as Ms. Faye said, he really wants to, and we want to engage our families around how we can better market the wonderful things that are happening in the district, as well as just get the word out around issues of communication when we need to in terms of crisis and those kinds of things. So that's a natural thing for Ann. That's what she does in her regular day.
Yeah, and I'm happy to be on that too. You know, with the provision if there are any of these committees that John, I mean, because he expressed an interest in some of them earlier, but I can't recall what they were. So
yeah, I had that list, and he was.
So,
I think he was happy to have Ann take the lead on this
okay,
one.
all right,
So Peggy, yes,
Yeah, I'm happy
in
to
the
be-
event John doesn't
yeah.
want to do it.
right.
Okay.
Yes, it's fine.
And then, Peggy, you're on quite a few, because this next one is you as well. So Program Council, this is our curriculum committee that will meet 3 or 4 times a year. This committee did not convene last year. Formerly, Jean Corder, when she was Director of Curriculum and Instruction Assessment, led this group. We're bringing that back, Yvonne Smith. Current Director of Curriculum Instruction Assessment will provide guidance with Program Council. We have the dates already, Peggy. I'll send those to you. Benita was our rep for this when this was active.
That's true. The 2 of us,
So
that's
if
right.
there's anyone else who'd like to, these meetings happen right after school, around 4 o'clock. They usually from 4 to 5:30-ish. If anyone would like to join Peggy there. Okay.
Yeah, going. Yeah.
Okay, Tori says she'd like to be an alternate on marketing. That's great. Let me go back to that. Okay, great. And these are as-needed committees, so they're not listed under the 2019-2020 group, but if we need to pull them together, we will. District Calendar Committee, Ruth Ann has always been our calendar committee rep, so if there's someone who would like to join Ruth Ann. We won't be pulling the calendar committee together this fall as we normally would, because we already have a calendar approved for 2021. And Kim will be providing leadership for this group when we do need to pull them together. The Health Insurance Committee meets in the spring. We have Brenda there. And this would be Angie, with support from Carol as needed for the money pieces, conversations. School-Based Health Center Advisory Board. Brenda is our board rep, and Todd is going to help facilitate that this year. That group is going to meet quarterly as needed if we need to pull them together. The Naming Committee, again, is an as needed committee. Right now we have Ruth Ann and John, and that one is pretty specific around membership around buildings, depending on where we're naming something and that kind of thing. So that one, we don't need to go into a lot of detail there. And then we have 2 evaluation committees that Angie will lead as needed. Tori, we have you there, since you're kind of our HR person, For the teacher evaluation one, Brenda, we have you there for educational support. Is that good? Okay. And Tori, we didn't know if you wanted to be involved in both, or were you? It's up to you. Just let me. Okay. And then our IASB, our Illinois Association of School Board Delegate, will continue to be Brenda.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other committees that we need to discuss, or that we feel like we're not involving this year that we need to? I mean, we have quite a few for 1920 that will be meeting pretty regularly. And we'll, of course, have each committee, as they finish their work or as they're in progress, come and give updates to the board as needed. But
I have a question. Is the Wellness Committee, do they ever combine efforts with the School-Based Health Center Advisory Board? Is there overlap with that?
we've not. That's
I was going to say, we met in March, and there were representatives there from the School-Based Health Center, and also with Promise Healthcare was there.
Okay.
And who else did you ask about? I forgot the question, I'm sorry.
Oh, the Wellness Committee.
The Wellness Committee?
The Wellness Committee.
Because you're on that one, too.
Yeah.
And you've served on those, but I haven't.
I don't
so
think we've ever had like a joint meeting, you know, usually with the health, we talk about different ways to advertise. Like at the last one, we talked about whether or not we could actually offer the services to some of the adult ed students. So that was a big topic at that point.
Okay.
So,
And other things that Carol, I mean, when we were on that committee before, we talked about not incentivizing students with food and sweets, and I think we changed our vending machine offerings a little bit.
yes, I remember
And
that.
we worked a lot on the menu options for,
I'm not sure it really is the same topics
Yeah.
that you talk about.
Okay.
Right, I was going to say, I think it's different.
It's
I mean, you get the end result, but yet
Yeah.
there's a lot of differences. So I think it needs to stay separate personally. I don't
Just
know.
curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
other questions? The purpose of the committee, or membership, or when they're gonna meet, or?
Yeah. The dates that you know, I know you mentioned that in the one
Yes.
committee you actually, but if any dates you know.
As we get, yes, we will
Send
push
those
them
right
out as
out.
soon as we can, absolutely. Yvonne's been planning program council this summer, which is why
Okay.
we have dates.
Great.
But as soon as these are approved and we know who our board reps are gonna be, we're gonna start working on looking at the calendar. Lori gets to have that fun job.
Yeah. Good at that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to 7.2, our summer facilities update. We have Mr. Ashman here to give an update on the summer facility projects. He is the interim director of facility services and manager of our fields and grounds at Urbana School District, so thank you.
Great.
And if you just want to push the button to make sure it goes green, you're good to go. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Just a quick summary of what we've done this summer. The high school and middle school roofing projects, they're both on track, going as planned. The high school has a substantial completion of September 30th with a final completion of hopefully October 7th. High school should be close to completion over the main part of the building before school starts, and then they'll move on to the big gym, small gym, and the wrestling room, and that'll get them away from the students, and hopefully the noise won't disrupt the kids. Middle school construction schedule is on track too. They have a contractor substantial completion is August 13th, and with a final completion of August 19th, so that'll be before the school starts. There will be a little bit of metal work to do on the middle school, and they will come back and finish that after the 19th, whenever they get their materials in, but it should go pretty quick. Once they complete the middle school, they're going to move the crews from the middle school over to the high school to try to hopefully speed that job up a little bit. Thomas Payne and Wiley got new entry doors, or getting new entry doors. Wiley entry door is installed. Thomas Payne will be installed on the 13th, and both doors will have their electrical and their door openers installed by the 15th. Had a little problem with those, little scheduling conflict, or people not knowing what was supposed to be done, and we got it taken care of, and we're back on track. Yankee Ridge had some tornado damage, as you guys are aware, I'm sure. August 3rd, we finally got the go-ahead from the insurance company to finally go ahead with the bigger part of the projects, the roofing and the HVAC systems. I've spoke to the HVAC contractors. They're still kind of talking to the insurance company for some reason. I think they had a couple questions about what a couple of smaller units were damaged, and they just want to know if they're able to repair those. They'd like to repair them, but insurance company's kind of balking on it, but I think we'll get them taken care of. The roofing company's been contacted. They will hopefully start next week, and they hope to be done before school starts. Everything from that was damaged on the inside of the building has been completed. From like ceiling tile to some wall damage. The ceiling had some damage done on the inside, and all that's been taken care of, painted, and looks really good. And then the other project we've done over the summer is just the basic summer stuff, the painting, buildings, room moves, some parking lot work, which hopefully they'll get back with us tomorrow and start on that again. And then just the basic cleaning of the buildings inside and outside. Any questions?
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Paul, do you have
There haven't been any budget overages on the roofing projects. I mean, I know there's concerns with regards to the bidding climate. I didn't know if there's any.
For the high school and middle school?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean, the bids came, we ended up taking most of the alternates to get the work done.
Okay.
But nothing has occurred since the bid opening to cause
We got a couple
any
small refunds
variation.
or small
Yeah.
one or small
I think we had a
refund.
little bit of a deduct. We had a
Yeah.
deduct change order, so nothing
Thank you.
major.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay. There's no movement for policy review tonight, so we'll be moving on to our action items. Number 9.1, we have various personnel items that we need to approve. So this will require a roll call. Do we have any discussion at all beforehand?
I know there are a couple that Ms. Franklin wanted to just highlight, just a couple of our administrative ones. They've already been working, but we do want to acknowledge their hard work and effort already.
Sorry, this is my first time using the microphone. I think it's on. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. We have some hardworking administrators that came tonight, so I wanted to introduce them and tell you a little bit about them, since you'll be seeing them around. And so Julie Blixen is first, and so Julie, if you'll give a little wave, stand up, and so I'll tell you about her. Julie Blixen began her career in education after graduating from Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in 1997. She taught at Holy Cross School in Champaign for 3 years before taking a teaching position in Unit 4 School District at Stratton Elementary. Ms. Blixen graduated from the University of Illinois in 2009 with a master's degree in educational organization and leadership. She served as an assistant principal in Unit 4 from 2009 until 2019 at Dr. Howard Elementary and Southside Elementary Schools. During her tenure as assistant principal, Ms. Blixen focused on implementing behavior interventions for struggling students, increasing teacher capacity to manage discipline issues, and providing opportunities for students to challenge themselves. She was a member of a district team that trained schools in implementing trauma-sensitive strategies for schools. Ms. Blixen is from Champaign and is the mother of 3 teenage boys. And so we are very happy when she was hired as assistant principal of student engagement. She'll be primarily over discipline at Urbana High School, which we're thrilled that she accepted the position. The day after she hired, she started. So at Urbana High School, so we're thrilled that she is with us. And off to work. She was just at the recruiting fair last Friday, and so she has hit the ground running. And we're happy that she's crossed Wright Street to join us in Urbana. So welcome, Julie.
Great. Thank you.
Christina DeJoy could not join us tonight. I'll tell you a little bit about her. Christina DeJoy graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Spanish from Elmhurst College. Christina spent her first 4 years teaching Spanish in the northern suburbs of Chicago. During this time, a passion for working with students on both academics and successful behavior plans evolved. Christina most recently spent the last couple years teaching Spanish at Champaign Centennial High School. In addition, Christina graduated from the University of Illinois Department of Educational Policy, Organization, and Leadership in May of 2019. Christina is excited to join the team at Dr. Preston Williams Jr. Elementary School as assistant principal, and as a Spanish-speaking administrator, the community at Dr. Williams is excited to have Christina DeJoy. So she was not able to be here this evening, but I wanted to tell you a little bit about Christina. And so finally, Markeisha, if you'll stand, please. Let me tell you about my partner in crime. And we're busy in HR, let me tell you that. So, Markeisha Parker has been in the education field for 15 years. She began her teaching career in Danville, Illinois with Danville District 118. Markeisha taught 3rd and 4th grade, and during that time she obtained 2 master's degrees, one in curriculum and instruction and the other in educational leadership. Following her successful teaching tenure, Markeisha became one of 4 assistant principals at Danville High School, where she served for 3 years. Following her time at DHS, Markeisha was appointed principal at Northeast Elementary Magnet School. During her time as both an elementary and secondary administrator, Markeisha focused on AVID, social justice, restorative practices, and creating an equitable environment for all students and staff. Markeisha is bringing innovative ideas to the HR department, focusing on recruiting and retaining the best in all positions that Urbana has to offer. And so again, Markeisha started right away. She started on July 17th. And so since we don't have board meetings in July, we didn't have the opportunity to ask your permission. And so I'm begging for forgiveness. And so we have been working round the clock and on weekends, trying to do what we can to fill all these open positions. And so with your blessing, I'm hoping that you'll welcome Markeisha to Urbana.
Thank you. So speaking of which we are preparing for our new teacher orientation next week, and I'm sure Dr. Ivory Tatum will talk to you about that. And so next year when we talk, we're hoping to have a lot less new teacher openings. We're going to retain these people.
Yeah.
Well, we need a roll call for this. Our
The move acceptance of the personnel items.
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Okay, roll call, please.
Member Carter?
Yes.
Member Exum?
Yes.
Member Patton?
Yes.
Member Pulaski?
Yes.
Member Fisher votes yes. Vice President Hall?
Yes. All right, welcome aboard, new people. Thank you. Motion is passed. All right, that was the completion of our action items, and we'll move on to our study topics for tonight. Our first one, 10.1, is are the updates for the Urbana Middle School math program. We have Dr. Joe Wiemelt, and I don't know if you have somebody else coming along. All right, great.
I'll introduce.
Thank you.
So while Joe's getting situated, we've been doing a lot of on-the-ground work at both the middle school and the high school. At the middle school, we've been talking a lot about positive culture and climate efforts, as well as some curriculum-related things. And so I've met with Joe and his team, and he's anxious to come and share with you tonight some of the particulars around the math program.
Yes, good evening. Let me make sure this comes up before we get going. It was up and going before I sat down. Okay.
It was. It's really good. We saw it this morning. Trust us.
Okay, it should be coming back up. So, good evening. I'm Joe Wiemelt, principal of Urbana Middle School. I have with me Rachel Herleman. Rachel is a math interventionist at Urbana Middle School, and I invited her to join me this evening to talk about the math program updates. 2 other individuals who have met a lot this summer with us, 3 actually, I should say, 4 actually, I'm going to do 4. So one is Andy Bonner, one of our 6th grade math teachers, team facilitator, and very much a teacher leader at Urbana Middle School and in the math department. Minette Kretz is our math department chair. Those 2 are not able to be here this evening. as well as Yvonne Smith, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Dr. Micah Jackson, our Vice Principal over Curriculum. We've all been working on a variety of different academic areas at Urbana Middle School, and Dr. Ivy Tatum asked that I provide an update around math tonight, and I look forward to coming back and providing more updates about our other curriculum areas as well. So we are there. So Rachel, I'm gonna be the main presenter, but Rachel can speak to specifically around the curriculum in the classroom, instructional practices, the interventions, acceleration, et cetera. So we're going to do a broad overview of the math department and the math program in terms of acceleration options, intervention options, and what it looks like 6th through 8th grade. So we're just going to jump right in. And of course, anytime you have questions, feel free to stop me. And then we'll spend time at the end as well. Is that okay, Lori?
Yeah, I was
Okay.
telling her to turn that one off.
Got it. So I just wanted to update the board in general around our new mission, vision, and theme, as well as some restorative values and our PBIS matrix that's been updated. So real quickly, I'm going to read it out loud. So the mission of UMS is to foster academic excellence, social-emotional intelligence built on high expectations and accountability for all. That is what we believe, who we are, and what we're about. This is the living and breathing mission of our work at Urbana Middle School. The vision is what we're striving to become. That's where we're going. That's where we're moving in the future. And that's to be, the vision of UMS is to be a leading middle school that provides an equitable, engaging, and collaborative community of learning for all. So these are brand new. In the spring and leading into the summer, our school improvement team worked for several hours on rebranding ourselves and creating who we are and who we want to become as a school community. And then over the course of the summer, we surveyed staff and other stakeholders around these areas and got more feedback on tweaking and modifying, and this is now where we're at with our mission and vision. Our school theme, kind of capturing that, we're developing t-shirts, and we'll make sure and get you all a t-shirt, is building community, fostering success. So we're really emphasizing the community, specifically within the school walls, and really strengthening our relationships as a staff, but the broader community as well, and really strengthening our perception, who we are and who we want to be within the school walls and outside the school walls across the community. And ultimately that will foster success. Those are our hashtags that we're using. The new one, I think Cameron's still back there, Proud of You, and then Proud of You 116, I believe, is being used across the district soon, if not already. So a couple other things that we want to emphasize is our restorative practices framework. We're not going to talk about this tonight, but I'll come back and talk about this more. But we will be emphasizing the 5 R's: respect every person, building relationships, taking responsibility for your choices and actions, repairing situations, and reintegrating into routine. The PBIS matrix, which is our universal system around positive behavior and interventions and supports. We've rebranded ourselves there. It used to be the Tiger Roar, and now we're the Tiger Pause. So the pause is an acronym for we have pride, we are accepting, we work together, and we are safe. So I'm not going to spend much time unless you have specific questions on our mission, vision, and this work, but I can come back whenever you'd like me to come back. Thank you. So specifically around academics and math. So there's a lot of language here, but this is also work that we've done over the course of the school year, leading into our school improvement days, and then this summer. So we're really focusing on improving math skills, broadly speaking, by focusing on student engagement, improving the consistency of the curriculum, 6th through 8th, and across all classrooms of math, curriculum and instruction, as well as an increase in assessment outcomes. So we're really focusing on our new Ready Math curriculum, which we'll jump into in a little bit, and the assessments that come with that new curriculum. So we were blessed to have your support 2 years ago when we adopted a new math curriculum called Ready Math, and we are loving it. Teachers are loving it. Rachel can speak more on that, as well as the iReady component, the online learning component that also creates pathways for students to move online, and the assessments that are built into it. So fall, winter, spring assessments, which will show. That's going to be our best assessment benchmark to measure our performance and to measure our growth when it comes to math outcomes. So a little bit there of what we hope for, what we're working towards for our students, for our staff, and for our families. So we really want to emphasize this consistency of curriculum, consistency of instruction for opportunities for students to excel across all teams, across all grade levels. That's for students and for staff, right? And for families to really understand what it is that we expect students to learn and understand, be able to do across 6th through 8th grade in math. So moving forward. There's a literacy goal. Last time I was here and presented about math, I had some feedback that folks want to know more about literacy and behavior. We're not only going to talk math tonight, but these are here and the handouts, and it'll be posted online, and I can answer questions around literacy and school culture and climate behavior. Those are there as well. So, to the nuts and bolts of the math update tonight. So our new Ready Math curriculum, as I said, was new last year, was our first year of implementation. And then this year will be year 2 of full implementation. With that Ready Math curriculum, as I mentioned, we have Ready Math diagnostic assessments, which is able to be implemented in the fall when students first start, the winter for a benchmark check comparing fall to winter, as well as spring, right? So 3 times a year. So what we're able to do with those assessments is to monitor student growth from when they start with us to when they end with us, and teacher practice. So it's live data that we can access and engage in discussion at the team level. So all 6th grade math teachers can discuss data regularly on those Wednesday early release times, as well as 6 to 8 articulation, right? And so we're able to really improve teacher practice with this data. And before, in the past, it's always been either common assessments that were created or individualized assessments that were all different. This is a way for us to monitor with standardized assessments directly from our curriculum, curricular program of Ready Math. It also assists us with class recommendations and placements in a much more standardized way and more streamlined. And so this helps us with our intervention classes as well as our acceleration process. We'll jump into. So I showed you this type of graph. I don't remember when that was when I was here, maybe the end of the school year, maybe April, and we didn't have our 3rd diagnostic yet. And so I'll break this down real quickly. So along the left, you'll see at the top and then down, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade. Diagnostic 1 represents the fall assessment. Diagnostic 3, which is above it for each grade, represents the spring assessment, right? So you can see green means meeting or exceeding, yellow means just below the expectation, and red is, what was that, one grade level below, and red is 2 or more grade levels below in the context of Ready Math and the benchmarks that fall in that. So you can see growth from Diagnostic 1 to Diagnostic 3 at all 3 grade levels. You can see the largest amount of growth at the 6th and 7th grade in terms of students moving from below grade level up into grade level, which are areas of celebration and success. We want to continue to see more students by Diagnostic 3 reaching yellow and reaching green than what we see this year. But we are, as a part of our goal around school improvement, is to see increased outcomes as it relates to these diagnostics, and then ultimately the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, which is the new PARC assessment. So are there any questions on these graphs? Does that make sense? So it's good that we see the green bar growing from 1 to 3, right? It's good that we see the red bar shrinking from 1 to 3. Okay. So a little bit about the multi-tiered system of supports. You've heard that term a lot in the past year, but that's always been a discussion around behavior only. But a true MTSS system incorporates both behavior, school culture and climate, and academics. And so when we talk about our math component within an MTSS framework, we're talking about the core math classes that every student takes. So that includes both the traditional math at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade and an accelerated option at each grade. And we do have some updates and some new information to share with you, especially at 6th grade this year, which is exciting for us and exciting for families and students, which we'll share in just a moment. Math Connections, if you've heard this language before, you know that the Math Connections is a Tier 2 math class, which means students that, based on the data, show that they're performing below, not significantly below necessarily, but just below benchmarks and grade level. And so they are placed into a Tier 2 intervention class called Math Connections. All of our math teachers teach a Math Connections class, and some of our science teachers who have a math background also teach a Math Connections class, as well as some other folks. So that is a small group, anywhere from 10 to 15 students, having a second dose of math, targeting their skills, areas of deficit that they need to improve. Math Dimensions then is considered a Tier 3 intervention. Tier 3 meaning students that are significantly below and are receiving intervention at like a group of 3 to 4 at one time. Miss Herleman is our Math Dimensions teacher, that's literally her title, and so she teaches all of the Math Dimensions sections, or the majority? All, that's right. So that Tier 3 intervention is really nailing down those skill deficit areas that students are struggling with. And this could be students that are 2, 3, 4 grade levels below in comparison to the 6th, 7th, or 8th grade using iReady, the Ready Math assessment benchmarks. 1 point of data from last year, 100% of students in that math dimensions group grew from a minimum of 1 to 4 grade levels at a time. So some students that were 2 or 3 grade levels below really approached grade level, if not reached it, within the math dimensions. Ms. Hurleman is an amazing teacher, so I'm going to sing her praises a lot tonight. Not just because she came, but I would have done that if she wasn't here. And she can speak specifically to those classes if you have questions. So for next year, you'll see that this is on average anywhere from 50 to 60 students that are in these tiered intervention classes, so connections and dimensions, across the 3 grade levels. So 50 students, approximately 50 to 60, out of about 300. So percentage-wise, it's about 15%, right, on average. And that's about what you would expect in a multi-tiered system. Students receiving Tier 2 and students at the core level, it's typically around 80%, 85%, that are in math without any additional interventions, right, and are approaching grade level, meeting grade level, or surpassing. And so we would like to be able to serve more students in this kind of tiered system, but this is the students that absolutely need it, right? This incorporates both students with IEPs and students who don't have IEPs, but are also needing support in math. This includes, not incorporates is the word I'm looking for. 159 students total as of right now for this coming school fall. So that's interventions. Before I move on to acceleration, do you have any questions about interventions thus far? Okay. So we'll move on to acceleration. So as a reminder, the state of Illinois passed an acceleration law that was in effect July 1st of 2018. And in the past, math acceleration, in the past 3 or 4 years at Urbana Middle School, we've had 6th grade math for everyone, and then a 6th grade math extensions elective course, which was an acceleration option as an elective for 6th graders. 7th grade, this I have it broken down a little bit later. You'll see, but 7th grade had 7th grade math and pre-algebra. Pre-algebra being in 8th grade. I'm going to remind tomorrow to do that? Okay. And at the 8th grade level, you had pre-algebra or algebra 1, which is typically a 9th grade class offered to 8th graders for acceleration, right? So that has been in place for some time at Urbana Middle School, and now with the acceleration law, we started offering more options for acceleration last year, which would be considered like subject area skipping, not full grade level skipping across all the subject areas, but a student could potentially accelerate beyond the grade level into the next level if they demonstrated proficiency on that subject or grade level that they were going into. So for example, a student coming into 6th grade could take an acceleration exam to skip 6th grade math and go into 7th grade math or pre-algebra, depending on how they did on that placement exam, if the parents request the acceleration option. So it's not a guarantee, right? Students have to score an 85% or higher to move on to that next level. This coming school year, we have 4 students that have officially skipped a class because they demonstrated that level of proficiency on that assessment. So it's not a ton of students that qualify. We had approximately 15 students that applied and 4 students that reached that level.
The 4 students that reached that level were 6th grade extension students, and I had 4 out of that class. 4 of them took the test this spring, and all 4 of them passed 85% or higher. And we have not seen that yet because it's a fairly difficult test. So they have skipped. They don't have to take pre-algebra, and they get to take algebra 1 next year.
As 7th graders. Okay. So a little bit more about that, just kind of more specific. So we have 3 sections offered at the 8th grade level of Algebra 1. And so those 4 7th graders that we were just mentioning are eligible to take 8th grade Algebra 1, which is what many freshmen take, right? So it's that same course. So approximately 25% are taking Algebra 1 this year. At the 7th grade level, similar types of numbers, 3 sections of pre-algebra, approximately 25%. And then at the 6th grade level, what's highlighted in red is what's brand new for this coming school year. And the second bullet is what has been happening the past couple years, the math extensions course, which is what Rachel has been teaching. So this new level of one section of 7th grade math is an accelerated option for incoming 6th graders that demonstrated, we have this broken down on the next slide, scored a 5 on the Illinois Assessment of Readiness, or at the end of 6th grade or beyond on the Ready Math options. So they demonstrated already this proficiency to move on to the next level. 15 students automatically qualified for that based on those assessments. So in the past, those students would have just done math extensions elective. So they would have been taking 6th grade math and then using one of their elective courses to take math extensions, which had pros and cons, and we can discuss that as we go. We wanted to have more students being challenged in math, more students have options for acceleration beyond just grade level skipping, right? Because we still had students that weren't ready to skip, but we still wanted to challenge them. So we created a new section of 7th grade math for 6th graders, which is Rachel's teaching that this coming fall. And then we still offer a section of math extensions as an elective, but it would be for students that historically weren't qualifying for the extensions class. So it gets a whole nother class of students able to be accelerated and pushed to further strengthen their math skills and abilities, and to better prepare them for pre-algebra in 7th grade. So a little bit of data just overall on math extensions. 14 out of 15 of those students in math extensions this past year met or exceeded on state testing in math. So we see that pushing students further beyond what we have been doing reaps benefits, right, in the long run as it relates to math learning. So I'm going to pause for a second on this slide because I threw a lot at you. So the red is what's brand new. So families and students already know that they qualified for that section at registration. We put some information in their folders to let them know that their student qualified and to verify with us that that's okay, that they give us approval, as well as the students that qualified for math extensions. And it's an overwhelmingly excited response from families. They want their students challenged. What this also does is allow teachers teaching within the 6th grade math classes to better differentiate for the needs of the students. The students, those 15 students that are going into 7th grade math, we're scoring well beyond their peers. And so the teacher is able to better meet the needs of the student, the remaining 300 students across those 6th grade sections. Does that make sense? So these are 15 students out of 300. Okay. So a little bit more about this new course. In order to qualify for that new course, as I mentioned earlier, you have to meet one or two of those bullet points, either meet a level 5 on the IAR, Illinois Assessment of Readiness, in math, or reach the 6th grade, the end of 6th grade on the iReady diagnostic course assessment. The extensions is either a level 4 on IAR or mid 5th grade or above on the iReady diagnostic score. And that's kind of how we determined who qualifies and is eligible to move into those courses. So it's really pushing students further as we move into this grade level in the school year. Any questions on that slide? We are approaching the end, and then plenty of time for Q&A. So in summary, we really believe that this type of change, by increasing acceleration opportunities beyond just grade level skipping and providing more time for interventions and support, we will see an increase in our math performance at Urbana Middle School and students doing better on the Ready diagnostics, Ready Math diagnostics, as well as the state testing. So that's what I just said. And we believe this plan is in line with our mission to really foster academic excellence and social emotional intelligence built on high expectations and accountability for all. So we really, last year, the entire narrative was all around behavior and school culture and climate, and that's important, and that's still going to be a big focus of ours, but we really want to emphasize the work we're doing around academics and curriculum as well. Future goals, long-term planning, conversations we're having across the departments, something I really believe is important for us moving into the future, is to increase the amount of tiered interventions, opportunities for students, increase the amount of accelerated options, and really approach it from a competency-based learning framework, the ability for students to have flexible learnings opportunities to move at their pace and not have to be in a class for the entire year because they have to be in there, but to move at their pace when they're ready. to go deeper when they need to go deeper, to go quicker when they're able to go quicker, and it's much more flexible. So it's not so rigid that you have to sit for 47 minutes a day in this class because that's just how it is, but really meet the needs of individual students and families. That's our long-term goal that we're moving towards. And then it gets away from tracks, concerns about tracks, concerns about levels. It's really meeting the needs of every single individual student. And that's our future goal, what our vision is. So, Rachel, do you have anything you'd like to add from a teacher perspective?
No.
Should I answer questions?
Yes, I will answer questions.
Hey, Joe, for the skipping,
Yes.
I think I heard that parents are requesting that exam. How do they know, and do you as teachers sometimes identify students and suggest it, or what?
Yeah, that's still a fairly new process. The way it worked last year was a combination of teachers requesting it and parents requesting it, and teacher recommendations.
Okay.
So I know, for example, Ms. Hurlman had several students in extensions where she felt they would be ready for taking that test or close to ready, and they should give it a try type of idea. So it was a combination of both. We want to flesh that out a little bit more to have a better system in place to try to identify more students. So it's not just up to parents filling out the application, but us having a better system in place to identify students that are ready.
Okay.
So that's a work in progress.
Also, the data that we are getting from iReady has really helped us identify those students.
Okay.
And we did not have that before. So that has really helped us with figuring out what students need to go and what acceleration classes.
Okay, thanks.
I think it seems like this new approach, creates much more effective learning environments for kids, but it also seems like it's a scheduling challenge. When you were talking about the tier 1 and 2 interventions, these small groups, and then the new course for this group of small groups, I was just trying to imagine how that works in the course of a day. Are you pulling small groups out, of the regular class, or is it after school? Or
Actually, it's not as complex as you might think. So within the master schedule, there are built-in times for intervention courses that often take the place of one elective, but a student can have 2 or 3 electives throughout their day total. So they have their core math class that's built into the team periods that we have. And then the off-team class options, that's when the interventions are built in. So they're not literally pulled out of class like an elementary classroom, but it's their schedule. So they would go to Ms. Hurlman for math dimensions 3rd hour, for example, because that's just on their schedule.
Gotcha.
And that's how it works. So it's actually because the middle school master schedule is based on team courses, which are the core classes, off-team courses, we just map it out that way, if that makes sense.
Gotcha, okay.
Also, the curriculum that we're using, we have K through 8, so I am meeting the students' needs at their grade level, so I can use lessons from prior grades that are still ready math, so they're still familiar with it, so it's not a brand new curriculum getting thrown at them. And so that has helped with that, and also the big thing is the iReady has an online learning that is to their grade level. So if they're at 3rd grade level, and I know this past year I did it a lot, and this coming year all the math teachers are going to be able to do more of it because we have more technology, and that allows, if the Ready Math told us to do about 45 minutes of that a week to really see that difference, and that's why my Dimension kids had so much growth, because we were really narrowing in on their deficits, and iReady shows us exactly where that deficit's at. And we can use that curriculum to help improve that. So that has been very, very beneficial. Plus, brand new this year, we have now Spanish lessons and English for K through 8, and the iReady diagnostic test will be in Spanish and English. That was an issue last year, but that's now going to be a change this year.
And we've hired in 3 new math teachers, 2 of whom are bilingual, and 1 who has an ESL endorsement.
Wonderful.
I'm really excited for that.
So does
As
the
a bilingual
iReady
guy.
online experience, does that sort of complement what they are getting with a teacher, a body teacher in a classroom, or is it a substitute for, or is it kind of a blend?
It's more of a blend and complement.
Yeah, so when I am, let's say I have a 6th grade dimensions class come in, I look at really what their deficits are, and in class, for at least 4 days out of the week, I'm sitting with them and looking at that deficit. So if it's measurement, then we're working on measurement at whatever grade level they're at. And then on that one day, they will go into iReady, and iReady has it laid out in their progress of about 40 lessons where they're going to go. And these lessons can go anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, and these lessons have instruction, practice, and then a quiz. And I measure it all and see how fast or slow they go, or if they pass it or didn't pass it. And they also have check marks along the way for them, or even give me red flags if needed, if they're going too fast.
So iReady is really is solely the assessment portion. The instruction portion comes from you, or a teacher.
Right.
And then iReady is really just the diagnostic part, kind of.
Right, but they do have, there's also instructional, the online. So
It is,
there's
okay.
multiple components. And we have the diagnostic, we have the progress monitoring, that is that data. This year, we now have fact fluency coming in with games that we did not have last year. That is brand new, that just came last week. And then we have the online learning for individual learning for the students at their level. So every student they start at a different lesson or grade level if needed.
Thanks for explaining that.
So Joe, I know you didn't include this data point, but you'd share with me the students of color
Sure.
who were benefiting from this.
Yes, so if I go back to this slide. So at the 6th grade level, and so we were talking specifically about the new course and trying to increase the number of students that are participating in more accelerated learning options in math. And so within this, at the 6th grade level, approximately 40% of students are students of color that are participating in the accelerated options, which more closely matches our broader student demographics at the school. And so we're really excited to see that as well, to boost up more students across race and different demographic backgrounds into, in the future, 7th grade pre-algebra, 8th grade algebra, moving on to the AP opportunities into high school. So it's really important that we get more students going into that path at the 6th grade level when they first start with us. And so that was really important data for us to look at. So thank you for bringing that back up.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I had a couple. So when you talk about the 8th graders who are able to go to the high school, I know you've talked about this in the past, remind me, it's a specialized class within the middle school. The kids don't have to go to the high school to get the instruction and be among high schoolers, right?
So this year, that's one thing that wasn't in this presentation. Because there were a number of students that took some online Illinois Virtual School classes this summer, there are students that have qualified, that have reached geometry, that are 8th graders, and 2 of them are 7th graders.
Wow.
So of these 4 students, 2 of those kiddos also are taking Algebra 1 this summer and moving on to geometry.
Wow.
So we don't offer a geometry section currently at UMS, which is why I didn't put much here specifically, but we do have UMS students going over to the high school this year to take geometry. So we worked together, Mr. Corson and I worked together this summer to create, traditionally the concern has been that it was offered anytime a middle schooler qualified for a high school course, they would have to go before school, before UMS started, and go to first hour at UHS. What happened with that was a lot of times there were conflicts with before school, honors choir, honors jazz band, honors other opportunities, and so it created schedule conflicts. So we worked to try to build it around lunch so that students could go over right before lunch or right after lunch at the middle school level and walk over together as a group, and they'll be grouped together primarily across, believe 2 classrooms at this point, and then walk back. And so they'll have passes, and it'll be a strategic plan. But that's part of our conversation. The broader vision is the ability to have these flexible learning pathways at UMS within our building so that students that are ready for geometry can do it at UMS so that they don't have to walk over to UHS. But some of the kids are really excited to walk over there. So. They may not be excited when it's 5 degrees out, but it's okay. Yes. So it's built around the day. And there's 2 kids also that have reached English, Comp 9. So we have 4 8th graders that will be over there for 2 class periods.
Okay.
One for the geometry class and one for the AP Prep Comp 9, which is the freshman level English class. And those are 8th graders that skipped 7th grade English They took 8th grade English last year, and now they're ready for 9th grade English.
Wow. Good on them.
Yep. Yep.
And then the front end of that then would be kids who qualify for 6th grade math who are still at elementary level. Do you deal with those kids?
We have not had any students reach that point with us. I don't know exactly what, for students that have demonstrated proficiency or competency, how they're being accelerated in 5th grade or enriched opportunities in 5th grade. We haven't had any students come up to 6th grade yet. But I anticipate that might be coming in the future.
With our acceleration policy?
Yes, I assume it's coming.
That may be something that happens eventually.
Yeah. And you brought up something that I was hesitant to mention because I thought it'd be, from left field. But when you mentioned the dual language, the bilingual teachers,
yes.
Is that because you're addressing the dual language students, or is it strictly for students who Spanish is their first language and they
No,
need
it's
it?
anybody. It's any student. But we'll be strategically placing students who are learning English as a second language, speak Spanish as their native language with those teachers for math as best we can, so that they can have access to a bilingual math teacher.
Great.
But those teachers won't explicitly be teaching a Spanish dual language math class this year.
Okay.
But it creates more flexibility for master scheduling and the broader dual language program to have more bilingual teachers on team teaching any student, and then we can build in a section that's dual language in the future.
Right.
So right now, it's a little complicated master schedule-wise when we start looking at that because of cross-teaming needs and those sorts of things. But it is a possibility that we're looking at. And when I'm recruiting and hiring, bilingual teachers across any subject area are highly desirable. So we hired in 5 new ones this year across multiple subjects, 2 of which in math.
Great. Well, I know you don't wear that hat anymore, but.
Oh, I still wear it.
I was just curious
Not
because
officially, yeah.
remind me at what stage we're at now with our kiddos who
They're
started.
8th graders.
They're now 8th graders
They'll be
ready
8th
to go to the
graders.
high school.
Yep.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yep. And so we're working, Mr. Corson and Ms. Janice Nolan.
Dr. Nolan, yeah.
Dr. Nolan, we're working together to start building the high school dual language program so that it starts to build when this 8th grade group gets up there. So, yes, it's exciting. It's all coming together.
Thank you.
Joe, do you find any of the students that have the struggle with French? We talk about Spanish quite a bit,
Yes.
but what are we doing about those students? Do
Yep.
we have some of those students in this group?
No, that's a great question. So the number is a lot smaller of students, not so much of students who speak French as their native language, but students who are limited in their English who speak French. So a lot of the students that we have gone through King's program and now Yankee Ridge's program and are coming pretty bilingual to the middle school. But we do have some who are more recent arrivals who speak less English, right, and are acquiring English as a second language. So we have 2 options there. We still have all of our ESL options and offerings for students from any background. And so that's at every grade level. They can have co-taught English classes, and they can have specifically like self-contained ESL classes for their English credit, their English language arts credit, from an ESL endorsed licensed teacher. And so that is a mixture of students who speak Chinese and French and Spanish, et cetera. We also have our French teacher, Ms. Teal. She has a period in her day where she functions more as like a French liaison and support. So she's meeting with students, she's contacting parents, reaching out to parents to support with questions, or if a teacher needs to contact a parent, more of the liaison type of role for French. But a long-term goal is trying to build in more options for French, especially as the Yankee Ridge program is coming soon. So it's not anything even close to Spanish right now, but it's on the drawing board for the future.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much,
Yes,
both
thank
of
you.
you. It's exciting
All right,
stuff
appreciate
that's
it.
happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I'm staying for the next one.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Okay. You can stay put.
Okay.
Okay, our next study topic at 10.2 is our summer transition program, and we're going to have Linda Gibbons, Director of our grant programs, accompany Dr. Wiemeld again, to talk about the summer transition program that just took place or is just wrapping up.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Linda Gibbons, Director of Grant-Based Programs. Thank you, Dr. Ivory Tatum, for inviting us so early in the school year. I mean, it's not even the school year yet, so I appreciate it. This is a program I'm very proud of and very excited about. We've seen some really wonderful things from it. you know, we started out with this program last year, so this is our second year. We started out sort of with the mission that we were just going to set expectations. What are the expectations at the middle school? You know, familiarize students with the school layout. Build relationships. That was really important. You know, kids get to know other kids. They've been at the elementary schools, 6 elementary schools. They've been pretty focused. You know, they could have gone all the way through K through 5 with the same students. So they're coming into this new building where there's lots of kids. So we wanted to build relationships with other kids and staff. And then finally, let's see, I put my glasses on, sorry. We wanted to work on social and emotional skills because we know that when kids come into the middle school, they're really nervous. You know, they're scared. They don't know what's going to happen. They're going through all this, you know, middle school hormonal stuff and, you know, everything's so new. And not only are the kids nervous, but the parents are really nervous too about sending their kids to the middle school. So that's kind of how it started. Like, what can we do to maybe make it easier for kids so they know what it's like and they're ready before they get there. So after that, I hired a coordinator this year to coordinate the program. His name is DeAndre Henderson. He was a student interventionist at Urbana High School, and we were lucky to have him here as part of this program. Unfortunately, he took a job shortly thereafter at Unit 5. He's an associate principal up there. So congratulations to him. He did a really good job with this program too. So I'm very thankful he was in charge. He brought to the program some areas that made it a little bit more purposeful and intentional. And so I'll make note of some of the changes because we felt like we had a really great program the first year too. You know, so this is just moving forward. We're improving on some of those things. So I wanted to point out that we're going to have some slideshows running behind us. You can see Ms. Bonner, the teacher, one of the teachers in the program, and a student in the program next to her. And then, go ahead.
Okay.
The first slide, I'm not sure what kind of volume we're going to get, but we can turn it down a little bit too. So the first one is called Dancing, and this was, oh, you can turn it down a little bit, Joe.
Down?
Yeah. So I'm just going to have it playing behind me, so if you get tired listening to me, you can just like focus on that. So, but this is an example. Every morning we started the kids in this real energizing community building activity. So what you're going to be watching is just the first part of our day. I want to point out that Parker Sands made multiple videos for us. This is one of them. You'll see another one. And then I also want to point out to you that Brendan, one of the teachers from the middle school, he is playing the guitar in this too. So he performed for the kids, and you know, he's a musician and a really great guitarist. So I'll speak more about this part of the program later. So one of the things that DeAndre brought, I mentioned, is a more purposeful approach. So we looked at a philosophy called Circles of Courage, which really reinforces 4 principles: belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity. And so we made that specific to the middle school students coming into this 5th grade transition program. So everything our teachers did really focused on belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity. Next thing is that we called it the STEP program. So it now has a name. It's 5th, 6th grade STEP, Summer Transition Education Program. So that was kind of neat too. So it's part of a grant. It's a State Board of Education grant called the Healthy Schools and Communities Grant. 2nd year we've used the money for this program, and it's worked out very well. I think we'll have it again next year, but I will say moving forward, I think this program has been successful, and we'll continue to watch it and see what happens, but it might be something that the district wants to eventually consider sustaining if we don't have grant funds. So it was a 3-week program this year throughout the month of June. Monday through Thursday, we did almost full days, 9 to 3 for those 3 weeks. We served breakfast and lunch. We provided limited transportation for kids who needed it, so that was good. It really got them there. And we started recruiting staff. So I posted this on the website, and we had just an overwhelming response from our staff. We hired only district staff for the positions. We had somewhere around 60 people in district applied for positions. So it was, I mean, we could talk to people and really find out what they wanted out of this program. So there's Brendan. There he is. So one thing that I do want to mention, as we interviewed, we kind of asked for the staff's reasons why. Like, what is your reason why do you want to be a part of this program? And we got some really meaningful responses from the people that were involved. We also asked them to share things that they were good at, and that really made a difference too, because like Mr. McCormick here, this was one of his areas of expertise, and we could really roll that into the program this summer. So our staff were fabulous. I just have to say they had great attitudes. They brought to this program a lot of excitement. They were all about building relationships with kids. Yeah, that was me, wasn't it? Whoa, whoa.
I don't know where I was.
Where were you, Joe?
I was hiding.
So anyway, and then the student makeup. So we started this process, conferences last spring. We sent save the dates home to parents. We sent registration information home in April, and in May they received their confirmations. If I had to improve something, of course we'd like to move it back a little bit earlier so that parents can really plan more that their kids are going to be involved in this. But given the nature of all the staff we interviewed and the grant funding, making sure everything was there, it just, again, we got kind of a late start, May sending home confirmations. Demographics, we had 101 kids that attended. 44% was black, 32% white, 10% multiracial, 13% Hispanic, and 2% Asian. We had kids spread from every elementary school attended the program, and they were fairly equally represented. I think Dr. Williams was our highest group of kids, biggest school, so it made sense. The others were all fairly equal. We had kids represented in special needs. We had a large group of students. So it was pretty representative of the way I see the middle school, which I really like that. The day went like this. They arrived at 9 o'clock. They went in for breakfast together. They all ate together. And then following breakfast, we did what we called cheers and chants. I think there's another video too. This video is a day in the program. So you'll see a lot of pictures and information about some of the things they did, activities. So cheers and chants is the way what we called it last year, but it kind of morphed into this whole energizing group activity where we danced, we listened to music, we did a lot of unique and interesting, things led by Brandon McFarland, who is a SEA at the middle school. He was fabulous. So that part got kids really excited, motivated, feeling positive for the day. Next, we did this thing that we called specials. And what that meant, it sort of simulated what it's like to have an elective class. So we had elective classes. So kids would have to go from their group into different electives. We had Chris Bazell did team building. They did obstacle courses and really a lot of fun activities. Barbie Price, Consumer Sciences, she did a cooking class where they had to actually take notes, so she was getting them prepared for what it's going to be like. Then they cooked together, and then they ate together. That was really fun. We had Malaya Smith, she's an SEA at the middle school. She did mindfulness, yoga, meditation. We were just checking it out to see how it worked. Joe will probably talk about that later, maybe. And kids really got into it and looked at it as a way of maybe dealing with some of the things that come up during the school year. And finally, we had the Urbana Park District, and they did some awesome activities with our kids every single day of the week. And I have Nikki Hosman and Katie Dixon here from the Park District. 2 years in a row, they've been fabulous partners. Maybe Katie will say a word too. So then we had lunch. In the afternoons, we had community building in their groups, and they focused on those 4 principles from Circle of Courage. And all along the way, they got to know the people in their groups well. They got to know the teachers well in their groups, but then they also had this bigger perspective of meeting kids from the larger group. Small groups, 15 to 20 kids per team, and we had probably 4 staff at least, 2 teachers and a couple of support staff. So it was a really nice ratio of kids versus staff. So we provided transportation meals, as I said. The very last day we had parents come in. We had a big cookout at the athletic complex. Dante Lotz, social worker from Wiley School, barbecued for us.
Cheers and chants.
This is Cheers and Chants right here. That was the peanut butter and jelly cheer that we did. It was fun. And let's see. We had a lot of communication with parents throughout. Parents could feel comfortable calling us, talking with us, coming to the school. So it was a good relationship with our parents too. And finally, we did one field trip. We went to the aquatic center and everybody swam, and that was a highlight too. They really enjoyed that. So we do have some outcomes. Brendan will talk a little bit more about pre and post tests that we did and whether they were real successful. It's something that I think we can build on going forward. Our students, 83 of them took a survey about the program, and it asked them questions. What did you enjoy most? And they said it was a fun program. At first I was scared. I loved it all. Enjoyed learning how to be a 6th grader. And what did you learn? How to get around the school, not to worry about being a 6th grader, and the rules helped me a lot. So also surveyed parents. We didn't get a high response, but the ones we got were super positive. And also responded a survey from staff, which shows us what we might need to improve on moving forward, and it also had some really good information for us. So I've invited Brendan to be here today, and I thought he could. Oh, this is the picture of the entire group on the last day. They have T-shirts on that have the 4 principles that we worked on too. So that was kind of neat too. Neat picture. So Brendan McCormick is an 8th grade teacher at the middle school social studies, and he was a part of the program this summer, and this was his first time being involved. So go ahead, Brendan.
Thank you. Yes. So this is my 2nd year teaching in the district, and I was my first time doing the summer program. It was a lot of fun. I was part of the 5th to 6th grade transition program. So I got my notes on my phone here. We sort of had 2 main goals for the mastery section. That was the division of the 5th to 6th grade program that I was a part of. Our 2 goals were to build students' confidence in their abilities to complete to complete tasks that are new to them at the middle school, and then also to build the student's sense of pride at being part of the Urbana Tigers community. Having come from the different elementary schools, with some of them with different mascots and whatnot, to coming together and forming that community. So those were some of the 2 main goals for the mastery section. Well, the building of pride was sort of program-wide, but building the students' skills and confidence was more of the domain of the mastery section. So some examples of the things that we did with the students in the mastery section were we worked with them on how to open combination locks so that when they get to their first day at school, they have it under their fingers. They'll probably need a little bit of refresher when they get there, but compared to their peers who didn't go through this program, they'll get it right back, and they'll be able to be leaders and help their peers who didn't do it. You can remind me, I forget, what proportion of the incoming 6th grade class was in the program was about a third of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so about a third of the students who are incoming sixth graders will be already acclimated to some of these skills, like opening their lockers, and can be natural leaders for their class. So opening lockers was an example of that. One of the activities we did was we gave them fake class schedules for how to navigate the building, because not getting lost is a pretty important skill as well. So we sort of tiered this throughout the week. So first we gave a guided, structured tour of the building led by the staff members. Then later in the week we had scavenger hunts where we sort of had them find things as a big group, and then by the end we had them going off in small groups of 3 to 4 students with a staff member with 8 destinations that they had to go to in that order, right? So it's not enough that you know where your science class is do you know how to get to your science class from all these different other places? So building that sort of geographical familiarity of the schools. So that was one of the effective things that we did. There was an activity where they learned how to get on and ride the MTA bus, so also an important skill for that. And then a bunch of team building games like Mr. Bazell, the PE teacher, cool stuff. It was so much fun to watch him work with the kids for that. And then also with Miss Price with the cooking and baking stuff, they were working in teams and dividing up the tasks that go along with that. So those are some of the main activities we did. What the students took away from what I saw was a sense of competence at these new tasks. They did feel comfortable with them by the time they finished, learning the layout of the school, meeting incoming sixth graders from the other elementary schools. So their transition period when they get in will be a lot quicker than their peers who do not attend the program. A sense of belonging and ownership of being a UMS student with cheers and chants and everything like that, all the team building. There was a really strong sense that they were in it together and that they were part of the team that is the UMS community. And then finally, the ability to be a leader to their peers who did not attend the transition program. Those are the main takeaways that we saw the students had at the end. And what I took away from it personally was, as an 8th grade teacher, it was nice to meet these students who I'll have in 2 years. Just because I get to build relationships with them when they're young and meet them and sort of cultivate that. So I'm looking forward to continuing that 2-year beforehand meeting and relationship building with them. And then also getting to know them in an extracurricular context where maybe some of them are unsure about how confident or comfortable they are in the classroom environment. And so if you could win them over in something that's fun, like a PE team building exercise, then when you get to the classroom, they're already on your side. So that was really great to do. And then also for me personally, it helped my ability to do social emotional teaching, because I'm sort of new to that as a new teacher. I haven't quite mastered that yet, so it was more experience and practice for doing that. So that's what I had.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Next, I thought maybe Joe would say a few words. He saw a little bit different perspective. He wasn't involved day to day. I mean, he was there and always involved, but he wasn't working within the program. So.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yep. So I'll be brief. I know last year I emphasized how great the program was last summer, and then looking at how those 6th graders performed in general, and how they became acclimated to the school community, and how really positive the school experience was for 6th grade last year. And I even have some data, like some recent data from a broader research study that was done with someone from the Department of Social Work, School Social Work, looking at 6th grade perceptions of school, and which was all pretty positive of their sense of belonging and community at Urbana Middle School. So within the context of the year as being a challenging year, the 6th graders had a really good year last year. And I believe wholeheartedly that a big part of that was the transition program the summer before. And so for this summer, we saw that it just picked up just where it was the previous summer and got even better. And so one of the couple things that I just want to mention for this incoming 6th grade group is, one, they were mad that they didn't have 2 sessions like last summer. So several kids on the last day were like, Dr. Weema, why aren't there 2 sessions? Last year there were 2 sessions. So they were really, really excited and happy. I had several parents email me or comment to me at registration that they were so happy and thrilled with the program because they were really nervous and scared, and now their students are really excited about coming to UMS in 6th grade. And we're going to be really building off of the routines and the structure that was put in place through the summer transition program. So, for example, in the mornings, when students come to UMS, they can enter as early as before 8 o'clock, but they go into breakfast and to their assigned supervision areas as early as 8:10, 8:15, and in the past, it's been in their hallways. Last year, we changed that to 7th and 8th graders would wait on each of the decks and the gym decks, and 6th graders in the hallways. Well, this year, we're going to keep the decks for 7th and 8th grade. 6th grade is going to be in the gym, on the gym floor, and we're going to be doing the positive start to the day, the chants and cheers, the music, the engagement, just like they did in the summer program, but with the entire school. So we have lots of staff members that have already agreed. So Mr. McFarland and Ms. Malaya Smith and several people, maybe Mr. McCormack, I haven't talked to him yet. Mr. Booth, who's another new teacher, to really have a positive start to the day every day and really build in a lot of culturally responsive and exciting and innovative ways to start the day. Instead of asking students to sit and supervise, we're going to engage them in fun ways. And so that'll be the morning routine, as well as Malaya Smith, one of our student engagement advocates, who is a clinically, has clinical counseling, master's in clinical counseling, is also going to be doing mindfulness and yoga in the mornings for students when they come into school, and then around the lunch period as well. So we'll be having smaller groups of students doing that, but students that need some time to breathe and to refresh and refocus in the mornings before the day starts, and at lunch, we'll be doing that, which is something she was piloting this summer with students, and it was a big success. So you're really going to see a lot of strong, if you go back to our theme, building community and fostering success, these are ways that we're going to be strengthening and building our community at UMS beyond the typical traditional ways in which we've done that. The other thing that has been mentioned is we also did a similar transition program with rising 8th graders. It was a different funding source, but it still fit under the same program. That we invited 40 7th graders that were rising 8th graders to attend, and we had on average 20 that came every day. And these were students that were identified due to either poor attendance during the school year, or poor grades, or poor behavior in terms of having a higher number of behavior referrals, and really targeted and wrapped around them to build them up as leaders and to build a more positive community with them and develop their leadership skills in the school so that they take ownership over the school. And we saw some really positive results there as well. So students that had really poor attendance over the school year were there every day in the summer, right? And so we're really hoping to see positive results with the rising 8th grade group moving into this school year as well. That was a different funding source. That was through Illinois Empower, through our school improvement grants. But we're excited to see how that shapes some of our toughest 7th graders when they're rising up into 8th grade.
And it was the same group of staff, too.
Same staff,
So
yeah.
out of this pool of 60, we hired for the 7th grade program, the 5th grade program, and then a 8th grade going into 9th grade program, too.
Mm-hmm.
So we just had an enthusiastic group, and they'd kind of interweave through all 3 programs at times, too.
And I actually pulled some data. So those 27th graders that came were also about 90% of them were in the traditional summer school program in the morning because they did not pass enough classes, so they had to come to summer remediation to move on to 8th grade. And so there were about 40 students in that program. The students that were in the summer transition program were excelled in the summer program, and I really believe there's a strong correlation between participating in the transition program and excelling in the traditional remediation program in the summer. Because they've really felt a stronger connection to the school with the staff members, and it's a lot of the same people they're going to have now as 8th graders, and so we're really excited for that. So really trying new and to expand on the new innovative ways of engaging middle schoolers, right? Because it's different today. We have to engage them in different ways to get them off screens and having fun in school again, right? And we really want a school where kids are excited to come. They're excited to be there, to learn, to engage socially and emotionally, and move on to high school to excel, right, and beyond high school. So these are just great ways that we're building off of that.
Yeah. So in closing, I just want to, do you guys have anything that you want to say? Katie has like kind of a 2 perspective here. She worked in the program, but she also had an incoming 6th grader too. So
I would like to give some perspective of that as well. I have been working with a lot of these kids through our Splash program,
as well as having a relationship, you know, being involved in the PTA and the classrooms and coming to visit the schools at lunchtime. So they kind of opened up to me a bit the first day of the program. And of course, they were all very nervous, as expected, about going into 6th grade. And after talking to them throughout the program and the last day, I mean, their thoughts and feelings of going into 6th grade on that first day completely changed. I was excited for them, not only my own son, but for them as well. And I just remember walking in there one day to have lunch with my son, and they were all dancing after they finished their food. You know, that time when they finish their food, and then they're still kind of waiting for the next transition. And it can get a little crazy sometimes. And just during that time, they were up dancing, and I think, you know, you were playing the guitar, and it was music that they could relate to, that they heard before, and it just they were able to like let loose and start the rest of their day, or, you know, continue on to the rest of their day with more positive attitude. And, you know, I thought that was just so great. It was a great program, and I know a lot of other parents from Champaign schools who have heard me talk about it. Almost every single one of them was like, oh, I wish we had this, and this needs to be done here, and actually all over the country, friends and family who've heard about it. So thank you as a parent, and I'm so glad that we were able to be a part of it as well. And then maybe Nikki can tell you like what we did in our class.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty neat too, with
yeah,
the science
super
and
cool.
stuff.
So we focused our Circle of Courage, our focus was generosity, and so we always started out with a week doing something generous for our community. So on one of the days, I like taught them how to watercolor, and we took those to the nursing home. So that was, you know, kind of a nice piece. And then we focused on generosity to our school. So we did a nice little gift for the teachers whose classrooms that we used during the program. We focused on generosity to each other. So we made some really cool welcome back signs and some note cards that we were going to slip in their lockers. So on the first day, they have this like sweet note. And then the last day, we did just an art project that they got to keep for themselves. So it was a generosity to themselves. But yeah.
Did you make blankets too? For the
Yeah,
Humane
yeah.
Society?
We made blankets too for the Humane Society. We did a lot of cool community things.
They're very excited about
Yeah.
you know, sometimes they aren't always excited, you know, like it's summer, you know,
Yeah.
but they actually really got into it.
They were engaged.
Welcoming students back and stuff with their signs and the note cards. So, yeah.
So we'll kind of watch them during the school year and see what happens. We've got a couple of ideas how we can check them out and see what happens. And I do just want to say that it really was a group effort, and that there were people in that building, you know, like we had partners. First of all, our staff were great. DeAndre was great. First student was awesome. I mean, they really stepped up there and just helped us transport kids. You know, not so much worried about, you know, some of the logistical stuff we get into with different partners. And Airmark was great providing food services. They were so flexible. Office staff, Miss Baker and Miss Palmore, they didn't have to do a thing, but they, you know, took our calls, gave us messages. They were happy to see us and make us a part of the program. And Billy and his custodial staff, they were amazing and very helpful. So I just want to make sure I mention all of them, because it really, truly was a really big group effort that, and those are all the things that made it successful, I think. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for the group?
But it sounds like you got some fantastic preliminary data from last year, and then probably going into this year. So have you considered putting a paper together for a conference?
Yes, we will. No, yeah, I think so. And
that's a good idea.
There's a lot that needs to be shared about that. And so we were just talking today and with the person from the School of Social Work on campus, and Jania Bivens, one of our clinical professionals, and really trying to get the message out there about these positive things that are happening, because it's not always being shared or understood, right? So, yes,
and we did get some good press, too. I don't know if you caught that, but we were on TV. Ms. Jones back there and Mr. Cameron, both of them gave us some really great press on social media and also in the newspaper and on TV, too. So, yeah, but that's a great idea, Paul. I like that.
And I love the idea that you're kind of incorporating some of the real successful practices from the summertime into the regular school year. I mean, they really aren't different animals,
Right.
right? So
Right.
I'll be really curious to see how well, because
Yeah.
those seem like wonderful things
And-
to start.
And that was my goal last year too, but there was so much unknown
Yeah.
last year
Oh,
coming in
yeah.
my first year.
Sure.
There's
Oh.
a lot that I didn't know, right?
Mhm.
And so now I know how to get it in and how
Yeah.
to do it, and so it's going to happen
Yeah.
this year. So come by at like 8:30 and you'll see it in action.
Things happen. Thank you.
Did you get your goal amount of students? Is that about what you were shooting for kids?
You know, I think we maybe had around 120 registered, and then we
Okay.
ended up with 101 that attended. And because it's summertime, they don't all attend for all 3 weeks, but we did, we probably had an average of 85 that attended. So, and I felt like it didn't matter how many days they attended, just being there for some of it was helpful.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea right now what your incoming sixth grader population is going to be?
It was, so when we did enrollment projections last year, who was I doing that with? Was that you, Carol? Enrollment projection, I don't remember who I did that with last year. But it was up, so we were projecting up into 340, 350, 360 coming into sixth grade. I haven't checked who has come and registered, like the total number that is registered at sixth grade yet, but it was trending up, over 1,000 for the school this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're even higher than that.
Yeah, I think so too.
So, yeah, I have your, you registered 754.
Just at centralized
Just at
registration.
centralized registration.
Yeah.
And when I looked at numbers earlier, I think you're over 1,000, like moving to
Projections, yeah.
1,100. No, I mean in terms of
Already registered.
registrations.
Yeah, we've been
so.
busy. I just haven't had the
Busy.
number in my head. So we need extra classrooms.
Well, then you've got at least 101 good ambassadors that'll be
Yes.
Right.
in the hallways
Exactly
to
what they
help out others as they
Yeah.
come
Yep.
in also.
Yep. And honestly, the rising seventh grade group too, another 100 of them that participated in this and had really good years. And so I think if we can continue this, we will have a school-wide kind of push around this, so.
Sounds great.
So, what was the size of the grant again, in terms of
The
dollar?
grant, it was $73,000. So
Right.
it was an expensive program, but, if we can continue to watch it,
Thank you.
I think it was worth the funds. And it wouldn't maybe necessarily have to be, we could switch some things around, I think, for future too.
So did the grant, did you use all of that money just for summer? There wasn't any left?
Yeah,
to
and
kind
I
of
mean, it
carry over?
wasn't, it included transportation,
Yeah.
which is very expensive for us. It included some materials, some things like our T-shirts and, special projects. So, but a lot of it, the bulk of it would be salaries, would have been
Personnel.
salaries, yeah.
And the staff love working it. They love coming to work in the summer every
It
day
was
for that.
very
It's-
fun.
It was exciting to
very
see.
fun.
One of the things that I think was really neat too, that they got bags, the drawstring
Oh, yeah,
bags.
yeah.
And I saw shopping for school supplies the other day that they could bring those, but not backpacks.
Right.
So that probably helped a lot
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
the kids that may not have a drawstring backpack to bring. So.
Wow. Anybody else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a
Thank
great
you.
report. Can't wait to hear from you guys again next year. Okay, before we start to wrap things up, I apologize because I neglected at the beginning of the meeting to recognize our cameraman tonight, Austin Pontius. I'm sorry, I didn't say thank you, but to everybody in the viewing audience, he's going to be our cameraman, I think, regularly now, from now on, or is this just tonight?
Is that right, Lori? Most of the, yep.
Yep, okay, so
Okay,
thank you very
Austin.
much, Austin. Okay, so now we're just moving on for any call for future special or executive meetings. Seeing none, we'll move to our superintendent's report.
Okay, and we have had a lot going on over the summer, as you can hear from our positive reports tonight. So I'm going to apologize early for my lengthy superintendent report. It probably won't be this long every meeting, but we've been very, very busy. And before you guys leave, I just wanted to thank you. Linda and Joe for kind of spearheading your teams and bringing them. One of the reasons I asked them to come, not like we just wanted to make it all about the middle school tonight, but I spent quite a bit of time at the middle school table during centralized registration, and I heard all these wonderful comments from parents and students talking about, one, the transition program. Like Joe said, he had a lot of emails. I had parents pulling me to the side and saying this was a great opportunity for them, so thank you for that. And then I was privy to hearing Joe kind of having a lot of these side conversations with families around the math acceleration and extensions options, and families were very grateful for that. So I thought those were two really positive ways we could highlight the work being done over the summer, planning and getting ready for the school year. So thank you guys. Thank Rachel. She ran out before I could say something, but yep, so awesome. So on to the report. Angie already mentioned we do have quite a few positions open. You can see on our personnel report, we've had lots of resignations over the summer and in the spring. We're working really hard. Our admin teams, you guys are fully staffed now, right? So I know we have a couple open classrooms at the middle school, elementary, and at the high school. And our administrative teams have been interviewing all summer. I just wanted to say that, I think the teacher shortage is hitting us just as hard as it's hitting everyone else. And, we've had other things that have kind of contributed to the large number of new teachers that we're going to have coming in. Right now, we have 83. We're really hoping that that number is a lot smaller next year, but we're going to do everything we can on August 12th, 13th, and 14th during new teacher orientation to help them be ready to receive our students. So, again, our departments, our principals have already been reaching out to Ms. Franklin, but they're still aggressively trying to interview and recruit just through these last couple weeks to fill all of those open positions. I did want to thank the registration staff listening or watching. We had a phenomenal 2 days of registration on the 30th and 31st of July. I did bring some numbers. I'm not going to go through every single school. I already said the middle school's number. High school, I think, is worth saying out loud. They had 905 families register, students register through the high school, which is phenomenal in 2 days. So as of the end of registration, we've had more families come in since, but just during those 2 days, we registered 3,284 families, which is 73% of our kind of our average. We average around, we ended the year with 4,500 students. We average around 4,450. So that is a nice percentage. I know though they were very long days. I know Lori is really instrumental in that. Linda Corbett, all of our departments. We mentioned the middle school. They host every year, and they're pretty much all hands on deck. But it is truly a district and team effort. But again, I think everyone was very positive. Families, I saw very few grumbles and mumbles, and we kept the lines moving as much as we can. And it was, I'd say, very much a success based on those numbers. To families listening, we do have late registration hours. So if you've not registered, please get in and register as soon as you can. Contact the schools, and they have times set up that you can come in and fill out that paperwork. CU Days is this weekend, so that is Champaign-Urbana Days in Douglas Park. I know you guys have heard that before. Deion Webster kind of organizes us. We have a sign-up sheet, so we have several administrators who will be out there. This Friday from 6 to 8, we will be there. Saturday from 11 to around 5-ish. We have a window of time where we're going to have a tent. So if you're out and about and you want to come by, Kim and I will be there for a chunk of the time. We'll be kind of sharing it, and we have other admins signed up and parent liaisons and people like that who'll be there. So drop in to CU Days in Douglas Park. I did want to give a little update on the Self-Made Kings, our group that we've supported, our student group of our 9th grade, a couple 10th graders. I think we have one 11th grader. So I've been in touch with Preston James, and he's given me some updates. So they've met about 17 times this summer. Today, they had a huge outing. They rented a van and took 9 of the boys to Chicago. They went to a really nice restaurant, very trendy. They went to DuSable Museum. They're probably on their way back. They might be home by now. and they learned a lot about Black history. They visited Navy Pier. So it's just a great overall experience for them. I met up with them last week for dinner at Neighborhood Connection Center, and we had a conversation around school expectations. So I kind of talked to them about, okay, this is what it's going to look like at the high school, and this is, you're going to have to do school and go to class, get there, be on time, get your work done. They asked me a lot of really great questions about, had the rules changed, and was lunch going to be the same? It was a really interesting conversation with, 14, 15, and 16-year-old boys. But they had good questions. They seem really energized to get the year going. We kind of polled everyone and asked them their thoughts about, now with school starting, we won't be able to meet as often. But they didn't want to hear any of that. We kind of went around and said, when should we meet and how often? And they want to meet every week, and they want to have lunchtime meetings and after-school meetings. We won't be able to pull them together that often, but it was just exciting to hear that they want to keep the momentum going once school starts. It was really interesting to hear their comments around the choices that, one young man said, Preston James asked, what are some things they learned this summer? And one of them says, I've learned who I can hang out with and who I can't. I've learned that there are people around looking out for me who want me to do well. And so it was just a great opportunity for me to get to know them. I know a few of the boys just from, being in the community, but it was really nice to get to know the boys that I don't know. So I did tell them, get used to seeing me, and so they're really doing some great things with them. Mr. Peppers has been involved, and Jorge Elvira has still kind of been involved with the group. So I just wanted to publicly thank the board for your contributions to that, the City of Urbana, Community Coalition, and all the other people who have donated. I think we're going to see some positive things happening in the lives of these young men because of this opportunity. So I think it's really exciting. Band camp is going on. So Cameron is going to be going out and getting some footage from band camp from this week. We had an update from Stacy Peterick. So if you've been out and about, have you seen them outside or heard them? They're outside from 9 to noon and on the main football field. In the afternoons, they kind of split up and do some section work, get out of that heat, and then they come back together at 5:30 for a kind of main rehearsal. This is Spirit Week for them, so they've been dressing up in like all these little cool themed apparel outfits. On Friday, Ms. Peterick said they're going to be engaging visitors. So if you would like to come at 6 o'clock, they'll be at the main football field, and they want to show off some of the amazing things that they've learned during band camp. So come on out. Lastly, I know Joe and I weren't even thinking of, he and I haven't talked about this, but I wanted to invite you all to opening day. I know John always comes and gives a welcome, but it would be great if you're available on August 19th to come out. Our theme is really community partner engagement. We have some fun, engaging activities. It's going to be a very celebratory opening day. Mayor Marlin is going to come. I don't know if you guys have seen her video. It's All About You, her All About You video. So we're going to be doing some of that self-promotion of our own that day, but also inviting a lot of our community partners. They're going to be there. We're going to unveil the logo, and we're going to unveil some other fun things. Yeah. So, so our theme on opening day is all about community partners. So it'll be a great time. So if you're available, we're going to have a community partner parade. I don't want to give away too much. So that is going to start at 8:30. So if you could be there by then, you can parade in with us with the band. And that is it. We're going to be back at the middle school this year. Thank you. I meant to say that. We'll be back at the middle school. Postcards have already gone out to staff who might be listening. Those have gone out in the mail, so you should already have or be receiving. And then we'll be sending out emails with more details about where to park, when to get there, where to sit. So we're using the full middle school gym this year. So, yeah, that's it.
Board reports. Does anybody have a report?
just a short note, and I know I speak for the entire board when I say I want to express our gratitude to our new superintendent, Dr. Ivory Tatum, and her administrative team, who have been working tirelessly over the summer to get our district ready for this new school year. And they've done it with real grace and professionalism. And again, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard. No other reports? No? Okay, well, just a reminder to everybody that normally we would have a meeting in August, the 1st and 2nd. Am I correct in assuming that this year we're not doing that? No, did I get it wrong? It was the 1st and 3rd. We're sticking with the 1st and 3rd. August 20th is our next meeting, so even though it is the first week of school and everything, we're still having a regular board meeting, so. Okay, welcome back, everybody, and welcome to our new staff and our new administrators. Thank you, I think.
Great. We're off and running.
Motion to adjourn. Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you.